Whether the Chinese election interference scandal takes down Justin Trudeau or he eventually walks in the snow, the sand, the surf, what have you, eventually he will go. What does the Liberal Party look like after that? Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun, joined by fellow columnist Warren Kinsella. And Warren, you've been in this situation before where a leader has to decide to leave. Longtime aide, confidant to former Liberal Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, former Liberal Ontario Premier Dalton McGuinty. Leaders have to decide when to go, but there's normally a succession plan. While there's people that want the job of Liberal leader, I wonder what happens to the Liberal Party of Canada going forward, given that it's not really a party anymore, it's a cult of one.
It's a cult of personality, and you're absolutely right. You know, the one thing in Liberal Party of Canada, in my many years within it, no longer, but back in the day when I was involved in Liberal leadership issues and contests and all that kind of stuff, you know, going back to Mr. Pearson, you had John Turner and Jean Chrétien in the wings. And going back to Pierre Trudeau, you had a whole bunch of people in the wings, from Jean Chrétien to John Turner, then Chrétien and Chrétien and Martin, and so on and so on. There's always within the Liberal Party, and this is the reason why the Liberal Party is the most successful, or has been the most successful political machine in Western democracy. It always has a succession plan, right? You've got one leader, they don't last forever. The best you can hope for is about 10 years. I think 8 is really all you can hope for. And you've always got to have somebody who's ready to step forward and become leader. And the problem with the current bunch, like, I don't think any of Trudeau's cabinet or the leading lights in the Liberal Party, I don't think they could be picked out of a police lineup. I don't think anybody knows who they are. And that's a big problem, because the Liberal Party of Canada is, as you just said, it's become a cult of personality. Without Justin Trudeau, they are pooched.
You know, I think back to the Chrétien days, and everyone talks about Chrétien and Martin, and you've got scars from that fight still.
Yes, I do.
Turner and Chrétien had their own battles before that. And so, yeah, sometimes there's animosity, but there's always a number of people in the wings, a number of credible alternatives. You know, in the Chrétien days, it wasn't just Paul Martin, it was John Manley. At one point, it was Alan Rock before he shot himself in the foot with the gun registry. There were a number of people that you looked through the cabinet and said, okay, here's some contenders. To a degree, Stephen Harper had that, but then a bunch of them left after 2015. You don't have that with Trudeau. Yeah, you know, people float names like Mélanie Joly, my favorite, Frankie Bubbles, Francois-Philippe Champagne. Anita Anand, she's near a rookie, you know, in terms of running for the leadership of the country. So they're decent people, but I'm not sure it's of the same caliber that we used to see. Am I wrong?
No, yeah, I disagree with you. I think Mélanie Joly is the worst cabinet minister we've had in the history of Confederation. I think
you've written that in the Sun.
I sure have.
More than once.
And Anita Anand, I don't know who the hell she is. And, you know, I've been active in the Liberal Party for decades. The only one that they really should be looking at, or the only type of candidate they should be looking at, is the guy you just mentioned, which is Champagne. And Champagne, not necessarily because we know a lot about him, but because he represents the old tradition of the Liberal Party of Canada, which is being business friendly, which is being in the center. The Liberal Party of Canada isn't the Liberal Party of Canada anymore. It is a new democratic variation, right? That's what it is. It's like COVID. It's mutated into something else. And this is why Trudeau has lost the majority in 2019 and again in 2021. It's not the Liberal Party of Canada anymore. If they need to, they want to win, they need to get back to the center. And you do that with a guy like Frankie Bubbles, as you and I like to call him, or somebody like that, who is business friendly and a centrist.
Mark Carney's name keeps being floated, and Mark Carney would continue, you know, despite the fact that he ran the Bank of England, ran the Bank of Canada. He is very much on this NDP progressive viewpoint that Trudeau has brought to the party. So I don't see him bringing it back to the center. Do you?
No, I don't. No, Carney, he's a capable guy, but to me, he reminds me of Michael Ignatieff with a calculator. Like, that's really all he is. It's like, I've seen that movie before and it ends badly. Like, the Liberal Party of Canada needs to get back to its roots, that it had with Chrétien and Martin. And, when it was successful, is, that most of the votes in Canadian politics, as you and I know, whether you're on the right or the left, it doesn't really matter. Where most people are is in the center. And that's where Liberal Party needs to get back to. Like, I think they've made a big mistake by moving to the left. That's why they've lost the majorities. And that's why I think Trudeau right now is probably the most despised prime minister since Brian Mulroney. Man, you and I remember we were both working in and around the Hill back in the days when Mulroney had a 12% approval rating. I don't know if Trudeau's that bad, but I wouldn't be surprised because I can't find anybody who expresses publicly their willingness to vote for the guy again.
Just a bunch of TrueAnon accounts on Twitter. Let me ask you this final question then. If the name Trudeau wasn't attached to this guy, he's a good campaigner, okay? Like, I will always give him that, and you cannot count them out. People who do are foolish. But if his name wasn't Trudeau and he tried taking the Liberal Party this far to the left to outflank the NDP, would it have worked, or is he just there because his name is Trudeau and people have fond memories of his dad?
If his last name was Smith, he'd be selling insurance in Red Deer or used cars in Timmins. Like, he is just not a great prime minister. I think he's the worst prime minister of my lifetime. And a lot of people agree with that, including people of the liberal variety. And, he's there by virtue of his name. And like, Brian, this actually raised a point that isn't focused on enough. Every Liberal Party candidate has to go through what they call a green light process.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be checked out by a panel of experts. How a guy who groped a woman, a female reporter in BC, who repeatedly wore racist blackface, who said the most extraordinary dumb things, how he ever got greenlit doesn't make any sense, because it wouldn't have happened to anybody else. It happened because his last name is Trudeau, and they wanted to recapture the glory they had with his dad, and they haven't gotten all that at all. All they've got is ashes.
All right. Well, we'll leave it to the audience. What do you think happens whenever Justin Trudeau does leave as head of the Liberal Party and thankfully Prime Minister? What happens to the Liberal Party then? Drop a comment down below, share this on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.